My first family holiday was actually last year, so mainly because we couldn't afford to go on holiday when we were younger. Hiya, my name's Abigail and I work in a corporate setting. So I grew up in a typical Southeast London council flat, and yeah, we didn't really talk about money, other than we needed money, and money has been something that was spoken about in a negative way, never anything positive related to money, so it's always like, we don't have enough to do X, Y, and Z. So for example, my first family holiday was actually last year, so mainly because we couldn't afford to go on holiday when we were younger. So money was very much seen as obviously it's a necessity for everyone, but a real necessity, to even be able to afford school clothes and stuff like that. So yeah. So I'd actually take a step back and say I feel like I got a bit of financial independence when I got my first job at 16. So because money's always been tight and it's always been drilled in my head from when I was younger that we need to make money. I also should have added my mum worked quite a few jobs in order to get money to support my sisters and I, and some of the jobs I would go along with her as well. Not that I got any of the money, although I think I got some of the money through obviously the food that she would feed us. But it was always in my head that I was going to get a job as soon as I could. And so when I was 16, I got my first job at McDonald's, which paid a crappy, if I can say that, £4.19 an hour, which back in the day was like gold. And that was my first real taste of a little bit of financial independence, because I was able to, buy the clothes that I want or save up for things that, I couldn't necessarily get from my mum because she couldn't afford it. And I didn't want to put any extra pressure on her. So that was a real taste of financial independence. But the real taste of financial independence was, I guess, when I bought my house 2 years ago. And I guess actually before that I wasn't really living at home either, so I was renting. But that real financial independence was getting my house, because that was one of the goals that I'd always had in my mind, as I saw a property as a way to be financially free to an extent, because at the end of the day I can now build use that as a foundation for building generational wealth for my future, hopefully if I have children, sort of thing. So that was my real taste of financial independence. Yeah, I think another property for sure. Not that I don't know if I should really talk about that in this economy, being a landlord. But no, I am, in all seriousness, I think another one of my financial goals is being able to get another property and potentially build out a property portfolio. I'm also looking, and this is very long term, about maybe purchasing some holiday homes as well. I really love to travel. I think given that it wasn't something that I was able to do when I was younger, having some of that financial independence allowed me to go on a lot more holidays and explore the world. And I've seen some really cool places, and I'd really love it if I could have a holiday home in Marbella or somewhere on the coast of Brazil. Yeah, so that's long-term goals. So I opened up an ISA, which I don't really need to explain what an ISA is, I'm hoping. But yeah, I have an ISA and I have a SIP, and those are tax efficient wrappers as a way of accessing investments, whether it's index investments or active investments. I'm mainly invested in ready-made portfolios because I think they're the easiest thing to be invested in when you're not necessarily sure how to stock pick, which I definitely don't know how to do, and a majority of the population don't know how to do. So being invested in a ready-made portfolio allows me to have some exposure to the equity risk, but also some downside protection by the, I guess, fixed income assets that are invested in that portfolio. In my SIP, that's because retirement, I'm a retirement geek. Absolutely love retirement, and I think it's super important, especially for our generation, given that the average DB retiree will retire with 500k. The average DC retiree, which is what a majority of our generation's pension plans look like, will retire with 50k. And we're walking into a massive problem with not being able to save enough for our retirement. We're also living longer. This is sounding quite bleak, but there are quite a few things that we need to be mindful of when investing for the long term. So I opened a SIP in addition to my workplace pension, just to ensure that I can maximize as much as I can when it comes to my retirement pot. I also plan to retire quite early, but I don't think that's going to happen in this economy. I think a lot of my stuff is self-taught, but also I'm around a lot of individuals who are well-versed in investing and investments. So being able to steal nuggets of information from just being around people has been really useful to add to my own knowledge. Because I could research for England and end up maybe over-researching, which is a common mistake when it comes to investing. You don't know what you don't know. So having people around me that do know what they know to bounce ideas off is really important. I think as well, being self-taught comes with actually wanting and understanding the need to do this. I think there's a lot of fear when it comes to investing, especially in the community that I'm from, especially where we as the Black community have been historically underserved by the investment community or the investment services in general. There's almost a fear or a hesitation to begin investing, and I think you have to be ready to take that risk and really build that trust with the provider that you're using and the people you have around you to ensure that you're making the right investment decisions. I think as well, there's absolutely no way in this generation that we can continue to build wealth for ourselves without investing. And I think that was a stark reality for me, because like I said, growing up and not having money and not being around money, it was one of my goals. And if I know that I can't make money build wealth without investing, even if I'm scared, I'm going to do it, or I'm going to research enough until I'm in a comfortable position to be able to do it. I think the only thing I would have done differently is potentially starting a little bit earlier. I think I've only come to realize the benefit of starting early. Just in general, it's when you have a long time horizon, you have a longer time for your investments to potentially, again, this is not investment advice, the longer time horizon you have, the more likely you can make the returns that you lose in that if you're in a volatile investment period. So it's just that understanding of long-term investing and the benefits of compound investing and pound cost averaging as well. All of those kind of theoretical things I didn't necessarily know when I was younger, mainly because I didn't have access to that information. It's the only thing I would have done differently, but then technically I couldn't have done it differently if I didn't have the information. So but that's what I would have done differently. So researching from the age of 15, 16, and opening up ISAs as soon as I can. And also I think what I would have done differently as well is maybe if I had the education, convince my mum if she could, to open a JISA, which is a junior ISA for people under the ages of 18, where, we can add, even if it's £1, £2 or whatever, even if it's from when I was born or from when I was 10 or whatever, just that kind of regular investing. So I have got a pot set up for me when I was 18 or whatever, to also add to my own investment journey are things I would have done differently.